I'm Christian Abbott.
I'm Nathan Lavender.
I'm Sean Abbott.
And this is the Red Mist Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Red Mist Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2, the Rusty Wallace Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac episode. On tonight's episode, we're going to talk about Andretti-Cadillac and Euro snobs. And just like the preface that we know there's a lot of other news going on, especially with the Daytona 24 Hours coming up and some information that came out about some of the race teams in the World Endurance Series over the last week or so, as well as some intriguing news from some Indycar tests that took place at Sebring, but we feel that this topic, Andretti-Cadillac, deserves an episode of its own, and kind of the backlash that they're sort of facing from the snobs in Formula One land. So let's delve into it. Last week, news broke that Michael Andretti and Andretti Global had reached an agreement with GM to partner as an engine/manufacturer and to bring the Cadillac brand to Formula One.
Yes. Exciting news.
Exciting news. And
great news.
And it is, because, the fact that somebody wants to bring another team to the grid for the last year and a half.
Such as the FIA person.
No. Just in the fact that Michael is willing to make this investment and has the backing to do it. Toto.
Okay, so before we go into our rants about all this, let's first explain what the press release of Andretti-Cadillac was and what this means for the deal that they're trying to bring the deal that they are bringing to the table.
So,
right.
Based on the press conference that was had with Michael and Mark Rouse from GM, Michael and his team are going to bring the chassis in conjunction with GM, who's bringing the motors. So they're going to work together, because you don't want that situation where McLaren had that motor that didn't fit, the Renault motor didn't fit the car or whatever it was, and that was just a disaster. They're going to work together to bring this motor. Now, the motor, this people are like, well, how is Cadillac going to do this? Well, first off, GM builds racing motors. Chevrolet in IndyCar, okay? It's not exactly, it's not a four-cylinder racing motor. That's a pretty powerful, potent engine. They have the motors that are in the Cadillacs that are hybrid, right? In the Cadillac LMDH cars. And then, we also have, we have the Corvette, the GM, the Corvette racing motors. We have the Camaros that are going to be in the GT4 class, all those high-performance motors. So to say that GM doesn't in NASCAR, okay? So to say that GM is not a race doesn't have racing pedigree is kind of a lot of BS, and especially with Cadillac, because Cadillac, how long have they been in racing?
Right,
a long time. Of recent years, and it dates back to the Speed World Challenge when they introduced the Cadillac CTS-Vs. So from that point, those cars came, and now we're at them bringing an LMDH car to go win an IMSA and GTP and go to Le Mans, try and win in WEC. Okay, so I find it, kind of weird that somebody would say, "Oh, it's going to be a badging exercise." Well, if Andretti gets their car built before the motor, GM's not going to come with the motor until 2026, right? If this whole thing goes through, that kind of doesn't make sense. If you're going to bring the motor, bring it in 2026. Audi, when are they coming? 2026. So, obviously they linked up with Alpine. The rumor is Alpine, right? So they linked up with Alpine, and they're going to run Alpine. Well, Alpine's like, fine, you guys are running with us for 2 years. The motor's going to change anyways. It's a 2-year deal probably or whatever. If assuming like they may just go, it will be here in 2026 if they get approved. Who knows? I don't know. But I just, that's what's going on. Now, there are other stories out there
of
GM like badging a Honda.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's because Honda and GM are working on some EV project together.
Mm-hmm. Well, also because there's also the link that Andretti runs Honda in IndyCar.
That's true.
Right.
Yes.
So
yeah, and they also are paired up with Wayne Taylor Racing, who runs.
Yes.
They now own part of Wayne Taylor Racing,
Yeah.
who runs an Acura.
yeah, which
Okay.
is
Well,
the motor oddly sounds like a Honda F1 machine.
it does.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, here this, yeah. Anyways, so that I can understand where people are saying it's a badging exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, didn't Red Bull take a Renault motor and stick a Tag Heuer sticker on it?
And
Yeah, I
Infinity.
called it
Yeah.
a watch
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back in the day, McLaren, when they were running the Porsche motors, they were called Porsche Tag or something, and it was the company that ultimately ended up owning Tag watches.
Yeah.
I mean, so this badging of motors has been around forever. Okay, so I don't think GM's going to be, from their perspective, that they're not coming to do that. Mm-hmm. I just can't see them doing that. Now they have the Chevy motors. If you look at GM's history in IndyCar, they have always been done through this group called Ilmor, which is in England. Okay, and Ilmor brought the Chevy motor via Roger Penske to IndyCar, and that thing slayed everybody. Ilmor also brought the Mercedes, what they call the Monster Mercedes motor that Penske ran 1 year and like slayed everybody with. I mean, the thing was, they called it the Beast. So if you have ties with a company like that, and you're also heavily invested now with LMDH, which is using a hybrid system, doing a Formula One motor shouldn't be that much more difficult.
No.
Right.
And here's the thing, because what I've heard a lot of is, like, is Andretti going to make a car capable of making a car from the ground up? But I look at the 90s in IndyCar, where you had multiple different chassis makes making different cars.
Well,
it wasn't just Dallara built a chassis and you bought it off the shelf.
You had
like it is today.
You had Lolas.
Yes.
You had Marches. Okay. Back in the day, you had Penske chassis. Penske built their own chassis.
Right.
They had Reynards, which that's where Adrian Newey cut his teeth. All those cars were built by a manufacturer, but those cars were then taken and developed by the individual teams because that was open racing warfare back then. And these teams would take those cars and rebuild them almost, use them as a base, and then just rebuild them. So the technical expertise that some of these IndyCar teams have to do that stuff is pretty amazing. And I think if you look at the backing that Andretti has, I mean, they're going to be able to attract people.
Right, which and this them coming together with Cadillac and GM is more of like the icing on the cake, because they've already said that they've had the funding prior to this deal.
Yeah, and
so I think this is.
This is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, so
but they're also creating a front of showing F1 like, are you really going to say no?
Yeah, well, so if we talk about who's behind Andretti, okay, I know this is like where people kind of get, Michael has gone out through his partnership with the folks at Gamebridge, who are a large financial money I don't want to say hedge. Well, I guess hedge fund, but private equity group. Okay, they've gotten that Michael to get in touch with Guggenheim, and Guggenheim is probably the largest private equity group out there. They own the Dodgers. They own they have interests in many different things: sports, business. They invest in businesses, things like that. They're very well financed. They can bring big dollars, and they can attract big dollars through, some of their, they'd launch what they basically probably are going to do is launch a private equity fund. They'll baseline it with their money, throw in some other money from people, and then attract investors into that to build the pool that'll fund the Andretti team. It's not unlike, what's it, Dorton Capital that owns Williams now. It's a private equity group that owns them. All right. So this group is far bigger than Doralton or whatever it is that owns Williams. So, this is a massive effort by both Michael on the racing front, the people behind him, and then the fact that he's linked up with probably the largest car brand or largest car manufacturer. Okay, who's got a deep at all levels. They have a very deep racing history. So I can't see why this can't be taken seriously.
Well, yeah, and you're probably, as a listener, probably asking, well, why is Cadillac all of a sudden just throwing their hand into F1? Well, I can think of like two reasons right away. Ford is now involved with Red Bull. Okay, that's a a national rivalry. There you go. But you also have Mercedes, who is Mercedes selling luxury SUVs. Same thing with Cadillac. So it's kind of like a marketing rivalry too with Mercedes. That'd be my guess.
I think if you look at the brand within GM, that probably fits a global brand. It's not Chevrolet. People argue, well, the Corvette.
No.
The Corvette's that's a specialty car within the Chevrolet brand.
Yeah.
That car, yes, that car could be, is a global seller. If you're looking for the type of car brands that are in Formula One, outside, they're all luxury car makers. Except, like, Red Bull's not a car maker.
No.
Okay? They're a energy drink company that's in Formula One. Mm-hmm. Okay? No problem there. Williams, it's not a car maker. That's a trend, historical Formula One team.
Same with
Granted, they had a business, the Williams hybrid, system. Though that's an outgrowth of them. McLaren started as a Formula One team. Started as a sports car team in Can-Am, Formula One, Formula cars, and it's always kind of built its brand through Formula One and stuff, and has gone into road cars. Yeah, and successfully.
Yeah.
Aston Martin.
Ferrari.
Ferrari. Yeah, Ferrari's legacy.
Yeah,
that's legacy.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, Sauber, which is going to become Audi, that was just, Peter Sauber was a motorsports enthusiast and became made his own Formula One team. Mm-hmm. Now look at it.
Yeah.
Haas, it's a marketing exercise for Gene Haas to expand his global brand with the CNC machines.
Yeah.
And he's a motorsports fan.
Considering probably every other F1 team that's on the grid right now uses a Haas
CNC machines,
like
right?
That. Like you're
right.
Yeah.
So if you kind of break it down, there's no Honda does it through motors. Mm-hmm. Toyota wasn't Formula One. They found more success on the sports car front and rallying. So I don't. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand why Cadillac is the brand they're bringing forward on this, because it is a luxury brand that can, Nate, it's there to compete against Mercedes in terms of marketing. Right. Aston Martin clearly going to compete against Aston Martin. So I find that piece. I I think in America, I think here in the States, we're more aware of the Cadillac brand racing because it started with the CTSV.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I saw those cars from the get-go, and we thought those were the coolest things going. Now you see them with their LMDH car.
Right.
And even their DPI car. I mean, it had a great sound. This thing sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
what's
even,
out there?
Even the first, even the first Corvette DP, when IMSA when ALMS and Grand Am merged, was still a very good sounding car.
If you go back into the DP Grand Am DP days, they had a GM motor.
Yeah,
I mean, so those are all. I think Hendricks built those. I mean. People go, oh, that's a NASCAR team. Well, they're getting the technology from GM, all right? So, I mean, it's not, people go, yeah, Roush built the motors, but how much did he lean on the guys at Ford? Quite a bit. It's kind of that's cross-functional. That's how it goes. Mm-hmm. So I think, I'm very excited about this.
Right. Especially as Americans with the team that you're bringing.
Look, I'm excited that Gene Haas is in there. What doesn't excite me is why didn't you guys bring an American driver? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But that kind of thing. Now we have an American driver on the grid. Granted, he's going to be driving a Williams. We'll see how Logan does. All right.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting to see, that. I mean, if Michael's linking up with GM, who are they bringing? Like, he's bringing sponsorships, okay, and they're bringing an American team from has to be right now the biggest market or the hottest market for Formula One.
Yeah.
And where's the downside to this?
Right. Yeah. More teams, more points taken away.
I know where the downside's going to be.
Right.
Darth Toto.
Yeah. The downside is not from the fan.
No.
The downside is from the teams on the grid.
Yeah, and the European media.
Yeah, because and actually, the more I think about it, it is kind of crazy to think about it that the report is what 9 out of 10 teams voted not, or is it 8 now?
I don't know.
No, it's 9.
No one. There's people aren't 100% sure what Zach said, and I think Zach. You know how Zach.
Well,
look, I love.
Well,
what
it is.
I like Zach. I like Zach, but he likes to talk out of both sides of his mouth.
Right.
All right.
He does. And look, he has Mercedes engine, and Toto definitely uses him as a puppet. Maybe it's just like, hey, what do you say?
I think Zach's going to have to be a little careful because he's dipping his toes big time in over here. And, if any backlash...
Well, and you also can't put Mario in your F1 cars.
Right.
And then tell him no.
Yeah, it's just like, my thing
let's
is...
not forget, that was literally like 3 months ago.
Right. So my this is like, I guess the question is, and I know Michael's probably taking a different approach with this, but you know what? I think Michael's feeling is if I don't knock doors down, I'm never going to get in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, which is it's tough because if this was Penske,
right?
Okay, so Roger decides I'm going back to Formula One again.
Yeah.
He was once there,
right?
Okay,
right.
Are people going to be like doing the same thing? Probably,
because for them it's points.
But we're talking about a guy that's got more money than Gene Haas,
right?
And he's got a racing pedigree that touches everything,
right?
And he honestly, I'm still waiting. I'm still. This is my thing right now. Now that this went down with Andretti and GM. What's to say it wouldn't be Penske and Porsche?
Right.
Who's running their world? Who's running their Porsche factory program? Yeah. Roger Penske.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, when Roger's 85. If 5 years from now Roger's not here, Penske Racing is still going to be going.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smart people that work there. Okay, so that's a legacy brand that's going to continue. Okay, if this was Chip doing it, he'd be getting the same thing that Michael gets.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, you guys are like, whatever. It's just, Michael, they're shutting the door in Michael's face, and Michael comes to the door with the biggest elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
This is like, did anyone see this? I didn't. I was waiting for Andretti Ford. That's what I was waiting for. And I almost I seriously, when this thing broke, I almost died.
Mm-hmm.
I know. A new manufacturer too. Like it's what F1.
Well, it's a new
needs,
it's a new manufacturer to F1. It's not a new manufacturer to racing.
Yeah.
No, I know.
And I just I think there's a couple things. I think people don't like the fact that Michael's out there being loud and proud about it.
What, greedy? Like
no,
that's what racing is.
No, he's being loud and proud about making his statement known that he wants to come to Formula One.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the backlash is what's killing me. It's like, oh, it dilutes this. Dilutes what? You're going to get the $20 million.
Right. And this is
for the year that they come in. You're going to pay each team $20 million.
right.
Okay, $200 million. Okay.
Right, and that's the thing that still blows me away.
So what happens the next year when the value goes up and they pay out more? Seriously.
But and the other thing I'm that this doesn't make sense is you have a cost cap.
Yes.
So no matter what money you dilute, you're going to make it up with sponsorship.
Right. Well, this is the other thing. This is the thing that they think Toto is all upset about, and they think Zach might be a little bit upset about too, being butthurt about this too, is that those guys, Red Bull's got Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say Michael comes in, the team's successul? They shift, brand shift,
Right.
But, that happens in racing.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think like Toto's getting a little upset because their Malaysian backing from Petronas and stuff and Ineos is all drying up. It's kind of, those companies are kind of pulling back. So, they're trying to find different, marketing things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, well, now we got to compete against somebody that's in our market in terms of a luxury car brand. That's called racing. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
I don't see anyone at Le Mans this year going, oh my God, there's 7 cars coming. There's 7 new manufacturers.
So many manufacturers.
Toyota should be. I don't see Toyota going, oh, well, we own the place.
No. Yeah, right.
This is what I don't get.
Yeah. The other thing too is the thing that I have a problem with is just like how much money F1 costs to run a team and whatnot, because
hence the cost cap.
Right. But it's just like yes, you can spend infinite money to develop a car or whatever you want, but it's the thing is at some point, like, yes, Williams is so far behind Mercedes. I understand that. But you got to remember, too, they're only that far behind with, like, what is it, half the budget that... Not even half the budget. I think it's less than that, than what Mercedes has.
Had,
yeah.
So you got to remember that all that open budget time...
Right.
That's all, at some point, that's all paid dividends up to now.
Right.
Now you got to work in a different environment, but
Yes.
all that stuff, that infrastructure, all that stuff, the way you can do things, hire people, like somebody has Adrian Newey, which people are complaining about. That's what Williams is trying to close the gap on that now.
Correct. So I think that's the one thing of like just thinking of what I guess this kind of gets into the talk between like what European racing is versus American racing.
Yeah,
Like,
I seriously think that these guys, I think and this is like the Euro fans too. They think like Andretti, like they rock up with an open trailer with 2 cars on it, and like IndyCar is some like slag,
no.
It
Like within
I mean, seriously,
within
no,
Indy-
it's like they
right.
think it's like some joke. I mean, I make fun of NASCAR. All right,
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of the teams, and the
no,
drivers.
no.
I'm making fun of NASCAR and how they run their races.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
All right.
Yeah, I get that.
But when you look at what a NASCAR team is,
Yes.
and it's a little bit different environment because it's Gen 3 car, but whatever, it's a highly technical racing team.
Yes, and they are.
They are trying to optimize in a very tight window.
Yes,
I don't want to say
yes,
cheating,
yeah,
but
no. NASCAR is a very tight box. Like if you look at it from an engineer and
Yeah.
competitor standpoint, it is a very tight
Right.
window compared to what F1 is.
Right.
But again, that's what makes NASCAR, and I get that.
So
IndyCar is again, it's just not the same rule book of what F1 is.
And the reason IndyCar is in the state it's in was it got killed off when
Right.
all the tobacco and alcohol sponsorship went out the window, and then we had the split. Okay, but in order to get its path back to where it is now, I'll be honest with you, I enjoy watching IndyCar race because it's a crapshoot as to who's going to win.
Yeah, and it's in my opinion not manufactured to be the point of having different people win all the time. Like there is genuine strategy and luck that comes into play with some
Absolutely. And
Yes.
and look, this weekend
because it's not like this.
I'll say this: the biggest mystery is the Indy 500 because
Mm-hmm.
you can be fast leading up to qualifying, through qualifying, you get to race day, and it goes right out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened to Andretti.
It's
Yeah,
So
Andretti, Scott Dixon, the
it happens.
fastest
It
guy all
happens.
year.
It starts.
Will Power.
Somebody comes out of the blue. Alex Rossi comes out of the blue and wins on a fuel strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
on fumes.
on
Yeah.
fumes because
Right.
his team did better than everyone else.
yeah,
I mean, so I just because they drive like a car that it's a spec car, all right? Yeah, it's one chassis, okay?
Right.
Well, this is what they're working with. Do they want to be in that environment? No. I mean, the only open area that, as I understand it, is dampers,
yeah, and that's
and apparently Penske
yeah,
that's their black art.
yeah,
Okay. But to say that Michael Andretti's team and like what he brings as a team, like what did Haas bring?
right.
Okay. Like it's not like Michael's going to rock up with 12 guys that don't know how to put a tire on the car. Because Michael's pit stop's probably going to be a lot quicker than some of these pit stops that are going on.
Yeah,
All right.
Ferrari, for example.
I don't think we'll have the insanity anymore at Ferrari, but also I don't think Michael's team's going to have that.
no,
Look, I'm not expecting them to win out of the box.
no
one is.
No,
Okay.
So
My thing is, what are you afraid of?
right.
What are they afraid of? And what they're afraid of is an American team comes in with American sponsors that they're not going to be able to get access to, who might take sponsors from their team. And I go, you know what? That's how it goes. All right. That's the way it
Isn't that how
goes.
business works?
That's how business works.
Because what this whole thing is turning into is showing that F1 is a
Closed shop.
closed shop and it's an elitist club racing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what it
And
is.
I think if someone in the media in their right mind had any, that's a European writer, right, would spend any time with Michael and come over and spend a year traveling with the IndyCar circus, you'd understand that it's highly technical. Same thing. You go to NASCAR race.
Yes.
All right, stay away from the stage racing and all that junk.
Right.
I mean, go to an IMSA race. It's like going to a world endurance race.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
Like the amount of engineering that goes on
yeah.
at series other than F1, it's just the same amount, It's
Yeah.
just in a
Different
you're
way.
you're looking at a different problem and
Right.
solving it in a different
Yeah.
way. Who said it? The F1 is a series where you compromise.
Right.
Whoever can compromise the best amongst all of the different variables
Yeah.
will win. Whereas IndyCar, it's not compromise, you're optimizing.
Right. So my thing is if I look at some of the, listen to some of the podcasts that I listen to, it's just like they think it's a freaking joke. They really do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, like in sports car they're involved in sports car racing. It's like they're involved in IMSA, which is the equivalent of WEC.
Especially now.
Right? Okay. It's the equivalent of WEC. And, I mean, like, I don't know. They made some joke. I don't know. Somebody said something and I almost was like, you don't even know anything. And I was just like, they just want to fit the narrative that Formula One is the greatest thing going. Okay? I like Formula One.
Yeah, I do. I
I liked Formula One this year because the last 2 years, because you know what? There was more than one team trying to vie for the win. This year we had 3 teams. It was even better. We all kind of thought McLaren might get in the mix. They didn't, but who knows? They might this year. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it could.
Haas got pole.
Haas got pole. So I mean, those. I just find it odd, and somebody like Will Buxton who worked doing IndyCar races, been over here doing stuff when he was spending time with NBC. I think Will's a little more eye-opening about things. I think Chris Medlin, who does writings for Racer and things like Sirius, he does some broadcasting stuff for them. I think Chris has a better understanding of what goes on with this. So, Chris has definitely spent some time, talking to Michael a little bit more than some of these other folks have, who just seem to like, whatever Toto says, it will go, or the, part of the hashtag LH fan club.
Team LH. Yeah.
Team LH.
Twitter is F1 Twitter is
Twitter
is
but
hilarious to read because they're all psyched.
I think it's an exciting. I think it's exciting.
Yes. Yeah. This is.
Oh, it's so exciting.
I'm just blown away that it's GM.
Just because of what LMDH and GTP are right now, I would love to see the 2026 rules for F1 allow for a V8 hybrid. That would be awesome. Do I think that's realistic? I don't. But that would be sweet because that is what the Cadillac.
It's
the Cadillac and GM stable
gorgeous sounding motor.
Yeah. But the engine noise aside, the partnership that they have together and what they are going to bring to the table will bring in a whole market with a team, and everyone is just pissed off that they won't have that access to it.
Right.
Or
so
or
is
at
everyone
least-
pissed off?
Or if they don't,
Are these guys pissed off? Like, how did he get GM? I mean, is that it?
right? Like, well, go talk to them.
Go talk to him.
That's and that's I don't know. I mean, to me, it with kind of anything, it's like you never know until you talk to someone.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like the more stories I listen about how stuff came about, it's just being approached at the right time.
Yeah, and I just figure Michael got enough doors slammed in his face when he first tried to do this.
Yeah,
and every time he came back with something more, and then
I think
obviously he dropped a dime to Mohammed bin Salam about what he was going to do, because all of a sudden the tone changed, like he knew something was coming.
Yeah, because now you see from the FIA point of view, they're looking into making it easier for teams to join the grid.
And what we really haven't heard from is Liberty.
Yes.
Okay? Which is an American company.
Yeah.
Okay?
True.
Right?
I didn't even think of that.
So they run F1.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
All we've heard from are the little people, the Totos.
Yeah.
Okay? The team principals.
It's a little.
Well, I didn't know he became the czar of motorsports. Okay,
Right.
I didn't realize that. He still can't hold Roger Penske's jock, but that's all right. I don't think he can hold Enzo Ferrari's jock either. Not that Enzo was an athlete, but I don't know. I think what it casts a light to me is that these guys are all money grabbers. Okay, and what they're fearing is that somebody's going to come in and put a dent in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that dent is the deal. Is team comes in, everybody gets 20 million. A new team comes in, everyone's going to get 20 million.
Right.
Okay.
This is what shocks me. You as a new team have to pay all the other teams.
Right. Which you shouldn't have to do, but they're going to do it.
No, but that's how it.
And then you got to pay your entry fee and all that crap. Okay.
Right.
The other thing is, everyone's been complaining about this. I'm a huge complainer about this. Where does the talent go to drive these things? Okay, because these guys have these driver team academy things, and guys show up that have far more talent than a Lance Stroll. And you got, Daddy's Cash is sitting in the Aston Martin. Is he ever going to get out of that car?
Or vice versa. Again, nothing against the talent of Lewis and Fred,
Right.
but they've been in the sport forever.
Right. At some point, they're going to leave.
Right, they'll leave, but
Lewis will probably leave before Fred.
if you have all of this talent, why aren't there more stories of controversial replacements of bigger stars
Right.
in the name for? Because that's exactly what.
How often does that happen in IndyCar?
It's exactly what McLaren was in 07 when you bring in Alonso, but you bring in the hot shot of Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
I have not seen that story.
Yeah. I mean, and,
Actually, no. You know what? That story this year is Piastri.
Yeah,
right, to a degree,
And
yeah.
so,
To a degree, yes.
To a degree, and a little bit of
And I didn't even say Nick de Vries.
Nick de Vries, yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes,
at the same
yes.
time, somebody like Mick, who, all right, he had a couple big crashes and he probably put a dent in the budget, okay?
Yeah.
But they went with, I like Nico.
Hulkenberg.
I like him.
Hulkenberg,
Yes,
not Rosberg.
Not Rosberg.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% certain he's the best fit. I think Danny Rick would have been a better fit, but Danny didn't want to go over there.
I'll be honest.
Well-
Not that I think age is anything to go by, but because clearly with when Max first entered the league, everyone was like, "Well, he's too young."
He's
So
too
I'm like,
young, I know.
No, I'm like, talent drives what you want. Like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really don't care about it.
Max. The
about
last
age,
one
all
before
that,
Max
but
that was dynamic like that was Lewis.
yeah.
Yeah,
Not-
well,
yeah.
that kind of going back to the Danny
I was gonna say Vettel.
Fiat.
Oh, Sebastian.
Vettel? Yeah.
Sebastian, honestly, he worked his way. Like,
Actually,
he didn't burst onto the scene.
No, he didn't. But neither did Ricardo.
Right. Yeah, but same
Again,
thing, Weber,
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, Lewis definitely came in as a hot shot.
Oh,
hot
yeah,
shoe. Yeah, right?
He was
Yeah.
the next F1 world
Right,
champion.
right.
That's
And
what he was.
Max,
he was.
I'm just kind of equating
Yeah,
there.
yes. Yeah.
I think
that's good.
I think Charles could be. I'm not 100% certain yet, but I have to really.
I think with how slow, or I say slow. I think if you're comparing Charles to Max, Charles has been brought up slower than Max.
Yeah.
So you don't see that light on
and
Charles
he's
as
just
much.
he's just in it. He's. I just wish he was. I don't know. He needs to be handled a little bit. Ferrari needs to handle him differently
Yeah.
than they do. I mean, because he's got the talent. It's just I think he wears his emotions severely on his sleeve, which is fine.
Well, which I mean, they're already doing the right thing by getting him a team
Fred,
principal he's already used to work with.
Yeah.
So they're making strides.
Right. So I just, kind of just gets back to, this all gets back to like, well, if you don't bring more teams in, where do these kids go
Yes.
that clearly have talent? There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you can drive for Williams down the back of the pack. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Have I seen anything out of Williams that's going to make me think that they're not going to be in the back of the pack?
Right.
right?
Well,
Or
that-
just leave Alex Albon with no pit stops
But
and get 1 point.
I think what's you're going to start seeing is I think you're going to start seeing say, Sauber, Alfa Romeo, whatever they are, that team's sort of going to start moving up the grid as Audi becomes more entrenched in there and gets people in there.
We hope
Processes and things will change and that. I think Haas probably benefits the most from the cost cap because they've always worked on a very tight budget.
Yeah.
So good for them. So hopefully they can keep building a car that's competitive in that midfield. I don't ever think they're going to break out and get to the front.
Well, I think.
I mean, this is more along the lines of the conspiracy, or I shouldn't say conspiracy. I think more of just a very early thought. But if Andretti makes it in, brings in Cadillac, do you think Haas would switch to a Cadillac motor?
I don't know. Depends on how long the deal is with thing. And I'll be honest with you, maybe Gene and Gunther should think about that and be a little more receptive to somebody else coming in because some of these teams are going to need engine suppliers at some point.
Well, I'm also just thinking of the fact that if especially how the way Drive to Survive paints them, struggling for sponsors.
Yeah.
It's a door that
I know.
can open a lot of stuff.
Right, but also a lot of these other teams, I don't understand why teams are just shutting down like this idea of Andretti-Cadillac coming in, and it's like, oh, it's another engine manufacturer. And it's like, if I'm Zach Brown, I'm going, well, how long am I really going to stay with Toto, and Mercedes? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things like that. So, I think.
Right, and this could open up a lot of opportunities for teams to really get an opportunity to get a better motor.
Stop being closed-minded. Is what
switch,
right.
Yeah.
Teams switch motors historically.
Yeah.
Or, like not one team is stuck with the same motor for the whole time, except for Ferrari. Ferrari, Mercedes. Like if you're an engine manufacturer in the sport
that owns a team,
that you're a factory team. I understand.
Well, here's case in point: car manufacturer Aston Martin.
Yes.
Does not have an Aston Martin in the back of that car.
No, but do they? They don't build their own engines, do they?
They have Mercedes.
No. I'm saying as a road car.
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's a complete. My knowledge of
that's what this.
Car, my knowledge
allegedly
of cars
this
is very
this factory is supposed to allow for that, but who knows? I don't know. I mean, Red Bull's going to be whatever they're going to be. I don't know. Depends on what part of the tennis court you're in with these guys, because they keep saying, well, Porsche's out, Honda's back in, Red Bull Performance is in, Ford's in.
Here comes Ford.
Yeah, Ford's going to slap. If anyone's going to slap a badge on a motor, it's going to be Ford, because they always look for the cheapest way to do something.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Formula One, they always do.
And what's the top team right now? First on race day, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, failed on race day.
Yeah.
So
found on road dead.
Yeah, found on road dead. Sorry. I mean, I love the Ford Mustang. I like Ford Mustangs and stuff, but
No. They're not. They're there.
Oh, we're all in, and then 2 years later we're out. It's like, thanks, guys. I know that, just, I don't know.
Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing.
The door doesn't hit you on the way out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I know that budget really was blowing you guys off the wall there.
Yeah.
But anyways, so there's all this great potential to see what happens. Hopefully, look, Michael and GM are going to do everything they can.
Yeah.
I just think that I think F1's got to stop thinking that, they got to lose the Euro mindset and the English mindset.
Right.
And stop being so centric about it.
And the one thing I do want to say too is, like, if you really want to, like, save money and drive costs down to, like, so then that way you're not losing money in sponsorship, whatever, like, F1 needs to make some better decisions of how they travel, where the calendar goes, and whatnot. And then also this whole, don't get me wrong, do I think multiple races in a country is the best thing? Not particularly. However, if you look geographically at the size of Europe versus the size of the U.S., you have 10 races in Europe at least, and then 3 in the U.S.
My thing with this is it's all well and good that we have 3 races here in the United States. I honestly can do without Miami. Okay.
Yes. Completely.
I think that's a sideshow.
I think we all can.
That's a sideshow. I think.
I hope Vegas doesn't get caught in that trap.
The thing that is most disappointing to me is about having a race here in the States is there's 1 or 2 places they need to go.
Yeah.
All right, and you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Well, and it's just it needs somebody to put big money in to upgrade the 2 tracks. One is Watkins Glen,
Yes.
which had Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
The track is a perfect track for it. Yes, does need to be, upgrade the safety to complete FIA, whatever they call it, grade 1 or whatever COTA is up to. The other track is Road America.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I had those 2 in my mind too. Sean, you're a genius.
the one, and this is the only backlash with this comment is by upgrading it, do you ruin the track?
No, you're not going to make it you're not going to make it a Tilcadrome. What you're going to do is the runoff areas are going to be expanded.
No, but that's exactly my point.
Christian, but who wants to see? I'm sick and tired of road races, street races.
No, I agree too.
Vegas isn't going to be any Vegas. The one big thing about Vegas, they got that big long blasting straightaway that goes by the Bellagio, and the fountains will go off and all that.
No. I understand. I'm tired of street circuits too. And just adding those on. But I'm sick and tired of Paul Ricard tracks.
Yes, I understand.
COTA, honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of with the amount of runoff that they have because they can just go if they want to dip out of a corner, they can dip out of a corner.
Well, they can't because
there's no risk.
There's track limits.
Okay,
sure.
I mean, yeah. Call it. Yeah, race control is noted at the top of it. And
I agree. I know where you're going with this, but
it's Montreal. If they could make it like Montreal with those upgrades, where
I'm still surprised Montreal gets away with the wall of champions.
That's my point, though. That track is really one of the last ones, and I mean, Spa is really getting borderline right now because of how much upgrading it's getting done.
Well, that's 2 things. That came out of a couple things. Antoine Hubert's death, and it also came out with the big GT3 crash they had there,
correct,
which was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, that's why that changed.
Mm-hmm. I do have to say I do like they put in a gravel trap at the outside of La Source.
Yeah.
Turn 1 there.
Yeah.
Instead of having
because now you can't do that stupid.
But that's my point because you don't have these 7 wide and exits of the corner and then
into
funnel
3.
You don't use runoff as an escape and justify will he push me off the track. No, if you get pushed off, you get slammed into a wall. Like that's
right.
Like you need to have a true consequence for driving off the track. That's and I'm not advocating for 5-inch high sausage curbs at Austria.
And what gets this is kind of like that's a good rant. I like that one. But this is like kind of trying to bring it back to Andretti and all this. I mean, I think collectively, I think as a group we're all really excited about it. I think collectively as a group we're really kind of annoyed with Formula One. I'm annoyed with Formula One teams. I'm annoyed with Formula One media. I'm annoyed with Formula One podcasters in Europe. I mean, if you guys can't see the big picture and realize that Formula One is not a European, it's not a Eurocentric sport like you think it is, but it isn't, okay? I mean, there is other racing other than that.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. And there's plenty of bright people elsewhere, all right? Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, I don't know how they're going to do it if they're in the U.S. and here. It's like
really?
Really?
Well, the easy solution is figure out the calendar so it's more geographically regional.
Who the hell cares where you build the car?
No.
Yeah, it's not like it was.
The track
No. I understand that, but here's the thing. Because
everyone's going to set up a home base where the middle of the calendar is.
Right.
You can,
I understand that.
You can stop.
But here's the thing: like this whole complaint that you can't have a team over here and
No,
whatever.
Yeah.
There's no unlimited testing anymore.
Correct.
Okay, so all they're going to do is rock the car up from Indianapolis if it's built here or somewhere in England, and goes to Barcelona for the test, just like every other team.
Yeah.
It's not like they had, back in the 80s and 90s when Damon Hill was racing, unlimited test days and they had test teams.
Yeah.
I think if that was the case and that was going on, I don't think the car would be built here. But whatever, But again, we can't have that because that doesn't fit the norm, And honestly, and then just getting onto the driver thing, I know everyone's kind of excited. I mean, look, I'm excited if Colton get in, but Colton's still got to get a super license. So
Yeah.
all right, that's on him. Okay. My assumption is that they're not going to be in until 2026, and I expect by 2026 he'll have his license. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
There are only 2 super licensed drivers in the United States. You care to guess who? You care to guess who it is?
Newgarden's one.
Yeah. Care to guess who the other one is?
Excluding Sargent.
Yeah.
Excluding Sargent, right?
Excluding
Yeah,
Sargent.
okay, all right.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, whatever. I mean, the poor kid is like, I like him. I want to give him every opportunity, but he's like on Williams. It's like, oh God. This kid's gonna be out of Formula One before you know you.
Alexander Rossi?
No. Well, I'm not 100% certain. I don't think Alex kept up his license. I'm not 100% certain, but he might be. He might be.
Because
You're not gonna believe this. No, it's not Connor.
no.
I was gonna say,
what
not
series?
Daly.
What series do they currently?
I don't know because that'll give it away.
Oh, it'll get.
They're both in IndyCar.
Is it?
They're in the United States.
Kevin Harvick? No, I like. What do you want me to like?
All right, you ready? You want to hear this?
It's not. It's not. NASCAR.
Who?
It's not NASCAR.
No.
No.
I'm joking.
No,
It can't be NASCAR.
Are they in IMSA?
It's Ricky Taylor.
Ricky Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Get out of town!
Somebody pushed up the articles. It was Newgarden. The only super licensed drivers right now in the States are Ricky Taylor and Joseph Newgarden.
Oh, Ricky Taylor's going to.
I don't know if Alexander Rossi was on the list. I didn't see it.
That's amazing. No, seriously, you got Colton Herta and Ricky Taylor coming, and here I am thinking.
Well, no,
Jamie
you
Chadwick.
don't. You can't say Colton because he doesn't have it yet.
Well, hang on. It's a few years from now, and that's a long time.
Well,
so.
it's still on Colton to get it done, and I can believe he can get it done. I just I don't. That was my whole thing. It's
look, if Nikita Mazepin can get it,
I
can believe
I'm going
in
down
anything.
that rabbit hole. Please, if Lance Stroll gets one, it's like even worse. Please, Jesus, talk about 2. I mean, seriously, couldn't Lawrence fire Lance and put Nick in the goat in the car? It would have been better.
Right?
I miss the GOAT.
Faster driver.
I'm going to miss the GOAT. Christian's
he needs to go to IndyCar.
Yeah.
I think he'd do all right. I think he'd do all right.
Look.
Chip needs to call him up. He likes winners, right?
My whole thing is, if you want to come run IndyCar, fine, come run IndyCar. If you don't want to run the ovals, fine with me. I don't care. I just want to see good drivers come. I don't care. I'm not a big fan of the oval races. The only one I like is the 500.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still a believer that they need to go back to New Hampshire, but look. My whole thing is I love the idea of like the trifecta of 500-mile races.
Yeah.
Like,
They
need to go to Pocono.
The Triple Crown, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Personally, I would love that.
Well, that was a big deal back in the day.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to me.
All right.
I like it.
I don't know. Kristen's having issues. He's trying to find it.
No,
but
okay.
I saw I can't remember where it was, but it was on there.
The only thing I can find is from it's an article from 2017.
No, there was one. It was recent. I saw it.
Ricky Taylor, though. Like,
I'll find it. Anyways,
I'm gonna ask a stupid question. How come Jordan Taylor doesn't have one? Is it just because Ricky Taylor's done prototypes, or?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
No shit.
Yeah. Jordan's been more of a GT driver his entire career.
He has, but I mean, in prototypes, he's really shined too.
Oh yeah, no, he has. It's but anyways, so
anyway,
so I mean, I think it's exciting. Hopefully we'll. I just the rancor over the last week is just unbelievable. But I hope everyone out there is excited as we are that this might happen. So still got a ways to go. We got to go through the process.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. I just don't think they like the fact that it's, Michael, and he's banging on doors, and he's but he banged on doors and brought the big elephant. So good for him. So anyways, I think we'll end it there.
Yeah.
And appreciate everyone joining us for episode 2.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you next week. We'll kind of dive into the world of sports cars next week as we head towards the
Rolex 24.
The Rolex 24, but we have the
Roar before
the Roar before the 24, which is a week from Saturday. Is the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai this weekend? Or is that next weekend?
Next weekend, I think.
Is that,
I did.
Is that in conjunction? It's always I like that event. That's always kind of my.
It's either this weekend or next.
Although
weekend.
I will say this: if you are starving for racing action this week, it's worth the $150 to buy the yearly pass for Flow Racing and stream the Chili Bowls Nationals.
Oh yeah.
Started last night. They're in tonight, tomorrow, Thursday. It's all preliminary nights. And then we start to get into the murky stuff on Friday, and then Saturday is when it all goes loose.
Yeah.
So some great stuff going on there. So
the flip count the last time I saw is at 10.
10. And we're in night 2.
Yep.
So anyways, but it's a great take. Good stuff. Yep. All right. With that, we'll wrap up the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Good night.
Thank you guys for listening to the Red Mist Podcast, hosted by Christian Abbott, Sean Abbott, and Nathan Lavin. It's produced by Christian Abbott, and music is by Alex Wart and Harrison Tate.